Glitches and bugs in video games are usually a mixed bag. They can either be incredibly frustrating to the point where the player can't finish the game because of them, or downright hilarious with how they mess with the graphics and turn everything into a surrealist nightmare of broken textures and out of bounds areas. However, there's a third kind of glitch which we're going to talk about today, and that's something that so fundamentally breaks the code of the game, it actually ends up improving the experience. These glitches accidentally created a new and interesting experience that kept players entertained with their respective titles in more ways than they were meant to be. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 amazing glitches that made video games more fun. Number 10. MISSINGNO, Pokemon Red and Blue. Let's start with what became nightmare fuel for many of the kids growing up in the 90s, and that is MISSINGNO. MISSINGNO is a mysterious glitched Pokemon from the original Red and Blue games, which became the topic of numerous urban legends across the internet, simply because everything surrounding it just screamed eerie. Its name literally refers to the fact that the glitchy Pokemon is a missing number in the Pokédex. It's listed as 000. As if that wasn't creepy enough, its type, bird, didn't exist in the original releases of Pokemon Red and Blue, and its appearance is a distorted mass of pixels. MISSINGNO can be caught on the east coast of Cinnabar Island. However, just encountering the thing, even if you don't catch it, can make your game experience all kinds of issues. The Pokemon will temporarily mess up the game's graphics, break your Hall of Fame, and can even erase your save data. On the other hand, MISSINGNO can be used to give yourself an unfair advantage, as it can duplicate items in your inventory, including the one-of-a-kind Master Ball. MISSINGNO adds more fun and fear to Pokemon. Capturing it makes for an interesting challenge and a fun way to mess with your save file after beating the game. Number 9. Duplication Glitch, The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. Bethesda games are notorious for their bugs and glitches, but for the most part they add a little bit of hilarity to what is admittedly supposed to be a fairly serious story, so it's a bit of good fun for most players. The Elder Scrolls IV was no stranger to glitches either, but one of them stands out the most due to how much the player can achieve with it. We're talking here about the duplication glitch, which allows the player to spawn an infinite number of any item in the game simply by equipping one kind of scroll and then discarding another one. By doing this, the player tricks the game into thinking that 2 scrolls were actually dropped, and from then on, your imagination can go wild. Find yourself a little short on health potions? Just duplicate away and you can have as many as you can possibly dream up. Wonder what might happen if you have 50 bottles of skooma in a row? Why not make it 100 or 1,000? Go nuts! If exploiting the game's problems isn't your slice of cake, you can always just use the glitch to fill the streets of the Imperial City with cheese and watch as the NPCs struggle to follow their pathfinding in the sea of yellow wheels. The possibilities are endless. Number 8. Shouting non-stop for SHAUN, Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain is a really atmospheric game that can immerse you completely in its dark and gritty storyline, until you decide to turn it into the ultimate joke. The Quantic Dream classic has an infamous glitch that occurs right at the finale of the game and takes a very serious moment and makes it very unserious. As Ethan, one of the protagonists of the game, is about to find his son SHAUN and try to save him from the trap of the origami killer, the player has the option to make Ethan call out to his son. In and of itself, the option can add more drama to the scene. However, because there's a glitch which lets the player shout non-stop, even during scripted events, the drama turns into a spectacular comedy bit. With just a few clicks of the X button, and I've tried, there's absolutely no way of telling you this without me laughing, you can continuously say the word SHAUN right up until you actually do save him and you're hugging him and Ethan is just yelling SHAUN into the poor little boy's traumatized face. It's very funny. Very funny. What makes this even more hilarious is the fact that this glitch is an unintentional throwback to the beginning of the game, where Ethan can indefinitely shout for his son Jason at the mall. I'm gonna stop laughing, but boy is this one hilarious. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's kind of poetic, really. Number 7. Corrupted Blood Incident, World of Warcraft. Now for a glitch which caused such a stir in World of Warcraft servers, it actually attracted the attention of epidemiology centers. The Corrupted Blood Incident was an epidemic of a debuff by the same name, causing players across all servers to slowly die from an incurable disease. The debuff originated from the regional boss of Zul'Gurub, who would cast corrupted blood onto unsuspecting raid parties in an attempt to let them infect each other and get killed one by one. The debuff was supposed to last 10 seconds or until the boss was defeated, but because some people found a way to override the 10-second rule for their dying pets, corrupted blood found a way to spread far, far beyond the boss. Within a couple of days, each city in Azeroth was filled with skeletons and corpses. Of course, while it was inconvenient to lose your item's durability due to the virus, the incident was a one-of-a-kind situation in the gaming world. There was something quasi-magical about guilds warning each other about which places were struck by the debuff, griefers infecting other players, and the sight of every major city looking like medieval Europe during the bubonic plague. Number 6. Giants launching enemies into orbit. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Skyrim is yet another hugely successful and hugely buggy Bethesda game. Although there are plenty of well-known glitches in the game, the one that has to be the most memorable for all the players is the glitch that allowed giants to launch everyone and everything into space. Most first encounters with Skyrim's giants would play out in this way. The player would curiously approach the giant's camp and prepare themselves for a tough fight, but instead they'd find themselves swung into orbit by the giant's ridiculously jacked up strength. The glitch was already hilarious just for that. But as soon as players discovered the Dragonborn wasn't the only one susceptible to being absolutely launched into outer space by the giants, it became a fun cat and mouse game of trying to drag unsuspecting enemies into giants' camps and having the same thing happen to them. If this wasn't enough to quench your thirst for excitement, it turns out the VR version of Skyrim was also subject to the same glitch. If you were ever curious about what your character saw as they were shot into orbit face first, you can now experience it for yourself in all its terrifying glory. Number 5. Minus World, Super Mario Bros. There were plenty of secrets in the original Super Mario Bros. For players to discover, but one of them turned out to be a glitch which transformed the game into an endurance run. World -1, otherwise known as Minus World, was one of the first glitches to be discovered by players and game devs alike. The glitch is famous for making video game history, as well as causing the fans of Super Mario to delve deeper into the code of the game and discover 256 other Minus Worlds. The Minus World can be accessed by entering the Warp Zone in World 1-2 by clipping through the wall at the end of the stage. Normally, the Warp Zone allows you to skip to further levels, but because the player enters the Warp Zone before the pipes can get their values, 2 of them will instead transport the player into an infinite loop of World 7-2. This can make for an interesting alternative to just beating the game. Instead of defeating Bowser, you might decide you want to see how many times you can make it through Minus World without getting killed, or you lose your mind. Number 4. Super Slide, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Super sliding is the staple of the Zelda speedrunning community. It's an easily triggered glitch which allows the player to slide through huge chunks of the map in record time. In order to activate it, all the player needs to do is find a grabbable object and a source of damage. By taking damage and trying to grab the object at the same time, the player causes Link to get stuck in a sliding pose, which will continuously push him backwards. The glitch is obviously a useful trick for those who try the world record in completing the game, but it can also be a fun mechanic for more casual players. There's something incredibly liberating about being able to skip the entirety of Hyrule in just a couple minutes and zoom past all the enemies that would usually annoy you on your way to your next objective. If you're ever bored of doing the same stuff on your next run of Ocarina of Time, you can learn from the speedrunners and use super sliding to save yourself some time. Maybe you'll even feel a little more ambitious and decide to try speedrunning for yourself. Number 3. Animal Men? Red Dead Redemption. The original Red Dead Redemption didn't shy away from creepy moments and supernatural occurrences. The fact that it's only DLC as a zombie horror spin-off should be sufficient testament to that. The world of Red Dead Redemption is already full of all kinds of monstrosities, chupacabras, and Bigfoots, but this particular monstrosity was one the devs didn't even realize they'd included. The so-called animal men are animals which, due to a mysterious glitch in the game, spawn with the textures of human NPCs. As ridiculous as it sounds, this glitch can actually make for a rather terrifying but fun experience. Angry cougar clerks and hog bandits can jump at you when you least expect it, savagely mauling John Marston to death with clawed hands and teeth. Seeing those models contort to adjust to the skeletons of the animals and hearing them make the sounds of the animals they replaced is also very disturbing. The glitch is so severe, in fact, that it can also affect birds on the horizon that end up taking human form, which, as you can imagine, gives a sort of BT from Death Stranding vibe, and it's absolutely terrifying. Number 2, the swing glitch, Grand Theft Auto 4. For all its brooding and grounded in reality storytelling, Grand Theft Auto 4 is still a pretty fun game for messing around and causing mayhem in Liberty City. In fact, one of its most memorable glitches allows you to take this murderous fun to the next level. The next level of atmosphere, that is. If you've ever played GTA 4 to the point where you decided to just mess around and see what was possible, then you probably run into the swing set glitch. If you press your car against it just right, the swing will fling your car high into the air and give you a scenic view of Liberty City as you slowly fall to the most catastrophic crash you can possibly achieve in the game. There are actually several glitch swing sets scattered across the map. At the peak of GTA 4's popularity, players would spend hours searching for new cars to sacrifice to their swing overlords just to see how badly they could destroy them. The next level of carnage they were able to achieve with basic playground equipment far exceeded anything they could inflict with rocket launchers and miniguns. The crash, as they discovered, turns any car into a metal pancake, which is delightful. Number 1, rocket jumping, QUAKE. To conclude this list, we've gone with an entry that absolutely changed the way its game is played forever. Similarly to super sliding in Ocarina of Time, rocket jumping is a speedrunning technique which allows players to leap across entire sections of the map in just a couple seconds. What makes rocket jumping so special, however, is that it's a glitch whose discovery actually led to the creation of one of the earliest and most dedicated speedrunning communities that currently exists in the video game world. The rise in popularity of speedrunning can largely be attributed to the QUAKE Done Quick community, established in 1997. The rocket jumping exploit essentially opened QUAKE players' eyes to seeing a brand new way that video games could be enjoyed. Additionally, QUAKE creators recognized how big of an impact rocket jumping had on the original game, and all the later installments of QUAKE started utilizing it as an actual mechanic. In short, rocket jumping is a glitch that didn't just add more fun to its game, it changed the course of it entirely. It just goes to show mistakes can absolutely be made into miracles. That's the end of our list, but let me know down in that comment section if you can think of any other amazing video game glitches that you reckon made games more fun. As always, I've been Jess from WhatCulture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you like, you can come say hi to me on my Twitter account where I'm @JessMcDonald, but make sure you stay tuned to us here for plenty more great gaming lists.